Alright, hey there boys and girls, this is Lady Silver Vixen here. I decided to go ahead and remake one of my videos about meditation. So, I thought this would be appropriate. The last video that I did was, the audio on it was very choppy, so I decided to go ahead and remake it. One of the things about meditation is that it's actually a very broad term for practices done by usually a sole practitioner without much, if any, at all, external aid. And for the most part, it's actually often used for the purpose of self-transformation. Sometimes meditation is done as part of a religious tradition, but it's not actually very necessary for each religious tradition to do it. So, just to name a couple, Taoism, some of the New Age, Buddhism, and Hinduism all use different forms of meditation. So, but when it comes to meditation, it's really about transforming yourself and bettering yourself and learning to connect with yourself on a deeper level. So I definitely keep that in mind if you're really looking into meditating. Another thing too is that, the most common thing that you think of when you think of meditation is, a monk with his legs crossed, or, some really old bearded man sitting at the mouth of a cave with his legs crossed in deep contemplation about what the world is. And, granted, those are great things, and they're great images. It doesn't work for everybody. So, but there's many different types of ways to meditate. There's obviously, the one that everybody always thinks about where you're crossing your legs and you're saying mantras. But there are other ways to do, to do the different types of meditations as well. Creative visualization just happens to be one of my favorite ones. And with creative visualization, basically what it is, it's a technique of using your imagination to create what you want in your life. And I have to read this because this is absolutely perfect. This is from Sybil Leek, Diary of a Witch. It says, whatever you ardently desire, sincerely believe in, vividly imagine, and enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. And I believe that full-heartedly. If you're truly sincere about it, if you can visualize it and tangibly, mess with it in your mind, and it's something that you truly need, at some point or another, it's going to come to pass. But there's a bunch of different things. The main thing that I really like is that creative visualization in magic, in the truest and highest meaning of the word, can be used together. And I actually emphasize to my students, anybody who watches this as well, if you anticipate to try and practice magic at all, creative visualization helps greatly. And I want to give you a brief definition of the word magic. Magic is basically an understanding and aligning yourself with the natural principles that govern the workings of our universe, and learning to use these principles in the most conscious and creative way. Okay? And I couldn't really sit back and not add that in. So, but just a little bit. 4 basic steps for, some effective creative visualization techniques, is always set your goal. Create a clear idea or picture in your mind. Focus on it, and focus on it often. And also, give it positive energy. You don't want something that's going to be so negative that it just consumes and overwhelms. There's also a bunch of interrelated principles that come into play as well, such as the physical universe is energy. Energy is magnetic, like attracts like. Form, physical energy follows idea, which is mental energy. Um, and then basically whatever you put out to the universe will reflect back to you at some point or another. Now, of course, there's affirmations as well, and affirmations do wonders when you're trying to transform a negative side of yourself into something positive. Say you have bad self-esteem. Well, every morning that you wake up, you can always take a look in the mirror and sit there and go, okay, well, I'm beautiful. And just repeat that every morning. Every time you see your reflection in a mirror, say, I am beautiful. And eventually your self-esteem will start to pick up because you start to believe it, and it becomes true to you. So, 3 necessary elements when you're doing creative visualization is desire, a clear, strong sense of purpose, belief that it can exist and that it can exist for you, and 3 is acceptance. You are willing to have it completely, positive or negative. The other thing too is that you should usually go with the flow, meaning you don't really put a whole lot of effort to get where you want to go. You simply put it out clearly to the universe where you would like to go, and then patiently and harmoniously flow, follow the flow of the river until you get to the destination that you want to be at. So keep that in mind, guys. I'm going to post a really cool link. Also, before I scram, another thing to keep in mind is that meditation has actually been scientifically proven to actually help people, especially with anger issues, as well as a negative self-image. So there have been over, I think, what was the article that I was reading earlier? I think it was 600 different scientific studies have been done on meditation and the effects. So, meditation varies for each individual. So keep that in mind, and, you all be blessed and have a beautiful day.